We are okay with constructive criticism towards a religion or an individual, even we don't really mind. But we're not okay with people blatantly offending a religion or any other individual, which I'm going to attack on what they have brought up here. Now, before I move on to achieve 2 points, which is one, the first one is even in status quo, how freedom of speech is already have a limitation, and the second thing is how it breeds radicalism. Right? The first thing that they come up with and talk about is how the right to respond. You offend a person, then you expect them to respond back, and then this guy who offended you in the first place is somehow going to go back home, go to Google and type out, well, I shouldn't do this and that. Well, I don't think the people in Charlie Hebdo has any more chance to go back home and Google because he's dead. That is the kind of reaction you get from offending a certain particular group that isn't always so clear on their reactions on what they want to do. And she came up with and tried to argue about how you bring up to a more merit discussion. We say no. You will bring even more harm towards themselves rather than having a merit discussion. Because people now they feel obligated to stand up for what they believe in when they can't do it in any other means besides which I will explain on my second argument. No, sit down. Now, and she also came up with how to talk about how they inherent right to be offensive, right? And Mayor talked about how even in religion there still have people who offend each other in certain aspects. We say, yeah, those are the people who understand their religion, who have an insight or a different aspect of their religion. But what you're saying is that when people can freely offend religion just because they feel like it and it's against what they believe in, we say that is the harm of that. She came up here and also said that how Christianity, Christians mock Buddhism and how it happens all the way around. We say that is what we regret. We don't want Christians to mock Buddhism. We don't want Buddhism to mock Christians or any other way or any type of offensive. But we're okay with criticism. Now, the second thing that she talked about how he's getting yes.
If a homosexual finds an Islamic preacher telling him that his lifestyle is a sin to be offensive, will you stop that Islamic preacher from spreading his preachings?
Yeah, sure, why not? Because we see it is harmful. You offend a person, but we're okay with criticism. How do you differentiate these two? She said it's so hard to differentiate, right? Okay. Take for example, I come up to you and say, what you're wearing right now is quite not appropriate. That's criticism. But when I come to you and say, you're dressing like shit, that's offensive. These are the examples that you can say and you cannot say, and how you say it is what makes a difference in how you propagate your idea. And yes, you will stop that person from propagating his idea if it's offensive. Now, sorry, moving on to my point. The first thing that I want to talk about is how people create even more phobias. An example that I will give is very common is Islamophobia, right? Firstly, let's talk about how in Qatar, where they brought down the blasphemy law, and it creates this discussion where people talk about these laws and people have this very discussion that they're also talking about. But take France, for example, where freedom of speech is sort of propagated and people can offend all they want. What happened is that scenarios where people have to take arms because even the government is not doing anything about it because it's an act of freedom of speech, which will lead to what I'm arguing about on my second section. Now, the first thing is how the limitation of freedom of speech is unnecessary. It's already happening in the status quo. For example, I cannot go to an airport and just scream just a bomb because it is ridiculous. People will panic. People are just taking it because someone says so. And being offensive attacks on the physical and also psychological attack on a person, which is why we oppose certain acts of violence because it attacks these individuals' rights and whatnot, right? How in a conservative society or even an individual who holds religion dearest to them takes up upon themselves that the religion is what they are, is who they are, is what they do every single day. When you mock them, when you mock the religion, you are attacking themselves physically and also symbolically, and we are so against. The second substantive for that is how people are not being able to opt out of it. For example, incident where people are just condemned into listening to whatever they have to say that is so offensive to them because they have no other choice of being opt out. They are stuck there just listening to all this mockery and all this joke made up about them, and it's just very, very disappointing. And the third thing that I want to talk about is how it breeds radicalism. Two subsides to it. One is the person who hears this offense, and the second who is affected by this offense. How? Number one, these people who believe in such truths that, for example, like Charlie Hebdo portrayed that Islam is such a joke. These people who believe and be conservative even more because they think it is true. They will mock the Muslims even more. They will hate on them, and the pressure applied on them does not stop. This is why the freedom of speech does not include offense. And the second thing that I want to talk about is how it breeds more extremism. For example, let's say freedom of offensive statement is allowed in freedom of speech, where people are, even the government, the people who are in power are holding their ideals on freedom of speech being absolute. These people have no other means to go in order for them to stand up for themselves. They may come up here and argue that they can file a lawsuit against what the speaker said, but they don't listen to it because these people already have the mindset that what they're doing is freedom of speech, even though it is hate speech. And for example, it gives them no other way for these people to act on other than to radicalize. For example, how there's more people in France and UK going to join ISIS to fight against such discrimination compared to Malaysia, because people there believe in an absolute freedom of speech, and this is why we are so against. So what have we talked about today? We have talked about today how freedom of speech cannot include offense, but it can include criticism, and the difference between those things I have talked to you about. It is harmful for the people to be offended and not be able to do anything about it because it's falls under the idea of freedom of speech. But we believe in a fair society where people coexist, offense isn't the way,